we're going to be covering we're going to be covering some useful material. Um, Welcome. I have with me Linzy Bonham. Linzy is the, I don't know, instructor, but also that just seems like too small a word. Instructor, leader of the Money Skills for Therapists and Money Skills
Uh-huh.
for Group Therapists programs, as well as the host of Money Skills for Therapists, which I am not saying this to butter Lindsay up. I'm truly not. It is my favorite podcast, and it was long before I met Lindsay. It's exceptionally good content on something that I'm not particularly an expert on, which is money and finances. So I am a graduate of Money Skills for Therapists, and I've learned so much from Lindsay. So I roped her into coming to talk to my Facebook group. Apologies for the tech problems, everyone. But if you're watching this, I'm glad it found you. And
Yes.
welcome, Lindsay.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Elana. I'm so happy to be here. Even though the meta gods tried to get in our way, we have persevered.
Yeah. Yeah, we persevered. Lindsay, as a testimony to her grounded nature, brought me from like a 9 out of 10 to maybe I'm like a solid 5 right now.
I was gonna say
So,
four. Yeah.
yeah,
That's my
thank
feeling
you.
from you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Um, I guess I'm just going to start maybe asking some questions
Yeah.
and I'd love to open this up at some point. If other people have questions, please pop them in the comments and I'll keep an eye on them. But Lindsay, one term I've heard you say a few times is grounded decision making or grounded
Mhm.
financial decision making. Am I getting that right? Is that
Yes.
something
Yes.
that you say?
That's definitely something that I say. Yes.
So I'm curious what the difference is to you between grounded decision making and not grounded decision
Yes.
making.
Yeah, the meaning of grounded decision making to me, like that wise mind visual where it's like
Hmm.
feelings and I can't remember if it's intellect or, but it's basically like feelings and thoughts being like in
Hmm.
your intellectual mind, in your emotional mind, and like wise mind is like in the middle.
Hmm.
I think about grounded financial decision making as being a similar kind of overlap of a Venn diagram, but it's between like values and feelings and numbers. And it's like this sweet spot where you're kind of equally balanced in both. So notice how I didn't say it's just grounded in numbers, because numbers I feel like this is like the whole problem with capitalism is numbers on paper can look gorgeous. You're like, oh my God, I'm going to be a billionaire. All I need to do is have my therapist work 55 hours each a week, and I'm going to pay them $2 an hour. And it's like on paper, that gets you this great number. But once you ground into your values, you're like, yeah, but my value is to make a great workplace and to like have people who are happy to be here. And like once you can ground in both of those, then you can make financial decisions that are both tending to the numbers and helping your practice be sustainable. So it's around in the future, but also reflecting your values and the reason you started the practice in the first place, which was not to make as much money as you could. It usually is because we want to serve a certain community way beyond what we could do as an individual, but as a group practice, we have this incredible reach to serve the folks that we love to serve.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I'm curious because this is something that I observe too in my work. And I know you and I have talked about this, but why is it so hard, do you think, for group practice owners to specifically to make grounded decisions? Like, is
Yeah.
it something about the helper mindset, do you
Mhm.
think, that works against us here?
Oh, totally. I think it's two things. I think it's a collision of our helper nature.
Hmm.
And like my general theory is that most folks who were therapists long, long, long before they were ever paid to be therapists. I know my first person in my life who identified as a therapy client was my best friend. I'm gonna put that in air quotes when I was 12 years old, who was like, "You're like my therapist." And in my head, I was like, "Uh-oh, that's not why I want to be here." So it's like our helper nature that we usually had way before we went into the helping profession, which then gets augmented by the education that we get and the messaging that we get. And, so like that gets deep and deep and deep and like help, 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 help. there's a lot of pain in the world. Your job is to try to like take care of much of it as you can. That collides with our like complete lack of financial education. So it's like we have this nature that already makes us vulnerable to overgiving and like not even knowing what our own boundaries are, nevertheless actually holding those boundaries. And then that combines with the fact that in our professional education, we're not expected to ever go start businesses. So there's no talk about how do you manage money as a therapist in solo practice, nevertheless in group practice, where you get into this like much more complex level where things are actually like pretty opaque and like it takes quite a bit to keep track of all the numbers of group practice. So it's this perfect combination of kind of like the nature is like who we are, and then that's nurtured
Yeah.
into even more extreme. And then this total lack of nurturing in terms of no financial education. And so most of us have grown fairly successful businesses with almost no financial literacy, right? Because we're so competent in so many other ways, but we're doing it kind of in the dark when it comes to the financial side.
Yeah. Yeah. I relate so much to that. Like definitely the first, I would say 3 years of my practice, I just felt like I was flying by the seat of my pants
Yes.
when it came
Yeah.
to making decisions about any decision that involved spending money, really.
Yeah.
Um, it felt very kind of, I don't know, it just felt like, and I would use words like intuitive. I'm
Sure.
just, in that
Yeah.
whatever I think it's
Yes.
Myers-Briggs, like the EN,
Mm.
like INF, whatever. I'm a P. So I would
Oh,
sort of be
interesting.
like feeling
Yeah.
things out. This
Sure.
feels like a good way to
Okay.
spend money, or
Yeah.
I feel anxious thinking about investing in
Mm.
this.
Hmm.
Um, when I listen to people talk about their leadership, so much of the, I guess, ungrounded stuff, or maybe not to say ungrounded, but so much of the difficulties that people encounter with
Yeah.
decision making seems to be tied to wanting to be, air quotes, like a good boss.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I'm just curious what you think about how does that instinct end up running interference with the grounded decision making?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I find most of us have the archetype of the bad boss in our brain, right? Whether it's
Hmm.
like somewhere that we worked where we were like, now that I'm a boss, I never want to treat people like that. Or even if it's just like a generalized sense of like, somebody like a Jeff Bezos who's making billions while his team are getting nothing. Like we have, whether it's personal or kind of a general idea, there's some sort of negative archetype that we're trying to avoid, right? But it's almost like, the way that if we haven't kind of worked through our childhood stuff, we're just trying to do the opposite of what our parents did rather than thinking about what actually makes sense for us and who we are. That's kind of
Hmm.
what we're doing if we haven't worked through our relationship with being a boss and our relationship with power is we're just trying not to do something that somebody else did or trying not to be that bad boss. But we end up making decisions that aren't necessarily great decisions in terms of like maybe they're not that strategic or maybe they don't even feel good to you, but you're like, well, I don't want to be
Hmm.
that, so I'm going to do this opposite thing, right? And there's just like such a lack of balance there in terms of like we go to the other extreme, which often
Yeah.
involves, like giving our team as much as we can possibly, feel like we can eke out, which often is more than the practice might actually be able to afford, because we don't
Yeah.
want to exploit people and we don't want to lose people and we don't want them to think that we're making a bunch of money off their backs,
Yeah.
but we're not connected to like, wait, but what is actually the sustainable amount that I can offer? What's the sustainable amount of training that we can provide each year? And like, again, this is where if you ground back into your values and numbers, then you're actually grounded in yourself, right? But when we're
Yeah.
just trying to be not a bad boss and we're trying to be a good boss, those are often very ungrounded, very emotional decisions. Because, like, what does good mean? What does bad mean? Those are just very emotional terms.
Oh, yeah. I was actually thinking about that just last week. I'm in the midst of doing quarterly meetings with my team,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a big team. I have, 20 people. And it's inevitable that somebody during the course of my quarterly meetings is going to ask about the fee split.
Sure.
My fee split is 60/40, which I think a lot of practices are. And although I haven't really swayed from that, that question used to like make me break out into hives
Yes.
because I felt anxious, like, oh my God, they
Yeah.
think I'm like corporate greed. And
Yes.
how am I going to explain to them? I would over explain, like, oh, this is where the money goes and this is why we need it. And I'm so
Hmm.
sorry. And then the whole thing felt very charged to me.
Yeah.
And I think one of my takeaways, because in your course, fee splits were talked about all the time, and hearing how other people arrived at their decision and was so helpful. But one of my takeaways from your course was now when people ask that, I don't even think my body temperature shifts. I just say like, okay, well, I actually say good for you for asking.
Hmm.
I get
Yeah.
why you would ask. I
Yes.
actually really get why you would ask, and I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
you know, and this is why the 60/40 split is actually the true operating cost
Hmm.
of this particular business.
Yeah.
And I give them a concise, very boilerplate explanation that almost everybody accepts. I mean, very few people have pushed back
Yes. Yeah.
because I'm so clear and I'm so calm. So that's what comes to mind to me when I think about the feeling, the embodied feeling of financial decision making that can make all the difference, even if the outcome is the same. The friction inside is so much less when
Yeah.
you're clear, right?
Well, that's like embodied groundedness. What you're talking
Yeah,
about, right? Is like even if there's conflict happening or yeah, like that's not necessarily a nice harmonious conversation to have. But when you're solid and you've looked at the numbers 17 different ways and you know like no, this is really what I can sustainably offer, then you can
yeah,
say that with like kindness and compassion and even like yeah, like patting them on the back of like good for you for asking. Like you should
yeah.
ask, like I
You
understand
should
why you would.
ask. Yeah,
But you also know what you can offer and what you can't offer. And
yeah,
sometimes that can even result in being like, yeah, I mean, if you're looking for more, then maybe this place isn't the right place for you anymore. Like, how do we support you to
yeah,
set up on your own, right? But like when we're grounded and we're not falling into like anxiety, fear, shame, guilt, then we can
yeah,
have these like really powerful conversations with the folks who
yeah.
are looking to us for this information.
Um, I'm just curious if you can think of an example or even a general pattern that you see amongst group practice owners where trying to be liked or avoid conflict can actually cost a group practice owner financially.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think one that we see a lot is where folks realize that like a certain split is not sustainable, but they don't want to have that hard conversation. And usually this is your OG person. So I feel like
Yeah,
everybody has their OG person. That first person that you hired who like you used to work with at the hospital and like you had extra clients and they're amazing, so you bring them on. Usually that first person is also somebody that you had a personal relationship with. That's not always the case, but often it is.
yeah,
And so it's like you've offered them something that now you realize you can't give anybody else, but they've been on that split for like 5 years, right? Or maybe them and a few people. What I have seen is like when we're scared to have that conversation with them, because we don't want to have conflict, we don't want to be the bad guy, we don't have to maybe face that maybe it's time for our paths to go separate directions. That can start to seed discontent with the rest of your team if they find out, like, wait a second, like Marilyn's on an 80-20 split and I'm on like a 60-40. So I find like that's where our avoidance of
yeah,
conflict can actually start to disrupt culture. In that, depending on like the conversations that team members are having, if it starts to be a bit of like a gossipy, like, da, 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 then you can start to have discord and jealousy with your team.
yeah,
Because now they're aware that like people are being offered wildly different things.
yeah,
And yeah, it's hard for you to say, well, the thing is, Marilyn and I were friends, so that's why she gets
yeah.
more money than you do. It's hard to explain that why you're not actually just having that hard conversation.
That really tracks when I think about when I think about the course, the Money Skills for
Uh-huh.
Group Practice Owners course. That came up so much was some practice owners who had hired their friends for the
Yes.
first go around, which by the way I did as well, and given
Mhm.
their
Yeah.
friends like the friend rate, and
Yes.
also gotten
Yeah.
into this business thinking, yeah, this is just my overflow, dude. Like
Yeah.
everything that
No.
everything over, like this is passive income.
Hmm.
So, with these maybe wildly generous, but also unsustainable splits. And so, what we heard a lot of in the Money Skills for Group Practice Owners course was people who had been at this for a few years and were now looking at, okay, if I want to really succeed and grow, I need to change my split. And how is that gonna, like, what are people gonna say in the lunchroom? Like, how are
Yes.
people, what if somebody finds out? And I really appreciated how simple it actually really is. It's not that complicated. You choose your split and you kind of have a respectful
Hmm.
soundbite that
Yeah.
that justifies it.
Yeah. And I think, something that I notice with therapists as people is like, we're usually like, we love humans. I mean, I hope most therapists love humans. Some don't. But like I will say many of us, like you love that person and like you don't want to lose them. Like you love them being there. And so sometimes
Yeah,
too, it's also naming that there's a grief there for us, right?
yeah,
Which is that this is somebody that we might, respect deeply. We have history with them. They were the OG, they were there from the beginning, but maybe now actually what they need and what we can offer no longer align. And there's going to be a
yeah,
change in that relationship, and like there's grieving to do there, um with the unknown too of like will you still get, will you still be in touch, will you drift apart, da da da, but like naming that that often is part of it. It's like as group practice owners, as business owners, we experience a lot of grief, because folks are going to come and go. We can't serve
yeah.
everybody's needs at everybody's time, and even our favorite clinicians, there might be a moment where we can no longer give them what they need professionally or financially.
So true. It's so true. And I hear people talk about their team as my family. We're a
Yeah. Whoa.
family. And
Yeah,
my
yeah.
practice is my baby. And I'm always like, no, they're not. Actually,
Mm-mm.
you're
Mm-mm.
stuck with your family for the most part.
Yes. No, it's true. And like
Um,
to me, family too, like that's actually something in my own business that I have been really clear with folks of like we're not family. Like you have a family. And actually what I want to provide you here is a great job that you
a
can do,
livelihood.
feel like you're doing great work, and go home and have a great time with your family. Like, we're
And
here to
and you
support
can
your life so you can be with your family.
and you can still have an amazing culture, like
Sure.
a
Yes.
really incredible company culture
Yes.
without being everything to everyone, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, One thing I'm just curious, you have so much content out there in the world. Like you have this podcast that has a million episodes.
A
I've
million.
listened
Yeah.
to every one of them.
Literally a million. Yep.
Maybe not literally, but figuratively. Like
Yes.
rounding up to a million.
Yes. Yes, of course.
Lots and lots of amazing episodes. You do these, I don't know, you do webinars. They pop up in my email, your webinars.
Yeah.
I've done your course, so I no longer go to your webinars. I hope that's okay.
That's
Um,
okay.
but I'm curious what inspired you to come to the wonderful Pacific Northwest. You're coming here next month and in a few
Yeah.
weeks in
Yeah.
August,
Yeah.
in the very scenic town of Fort Langley, which is just a hop, skip, and a jump from Vancouver,
Close. So close.
give or take
Yeah.
with rush hour. What inspired
Well,
you?
I started this business during COVID. So, like, I shouldn't say that. I started teaching money to therapists in 2018. Then I took off all
Mhm.
of 2019 with my son. I'm Canadian, 1 year
Yeah.
mat leave. And when I came back, I went full tilt into this business just as COVID started. So at the beginning of this business, I couldn't do anything in person. It was just like, we remember those days.
Yeah.
Um, and, I've been raising my young son and, there's been a lot going on. But I think it was really just like last year that I realized like, oh, things can happen in person. Like there are conferences that I can go to, and like starting to think about how do we bring this business out of the internet and into the real world? Because it's so powerful. Like I've gotten
Mhm.
to meet some of my students online, and some of them like I've known for years. Like Diane, who coaches with me, Elana, she's our financial coach inside Money Skills for Group Practice Owners and Money Skills to Therapists. We met in person last year for the first time, and I'd known her for like 5 years before that. Like she's been working for me and I've never seen her in person. So the reason specifically that we're starting with coming to BC, the Pacific Northwest, we're saying Pacific Northwest for the Americans so they understand where BC is.
Right.
Geographically,
Yes.
we don't know a lot
BC.
about each other. Yeah,
Yeah.
BC. The reason we're coming to BC first is there's that incredible BC grant that covers 80% of the cost of money skills for practice owners. So this grant is it's a federal grant, but it's administered provincially. And the way that the provincial government or in BC administers it, it covers money skills for practice owners at 80%. So what is a course that is a significant investment because it's a significant course. You learn a
Yeah.
lot, you get a lot of support. It brings down the cost to like $1,800 for folks in
Yeah.
BC, which is just
Yeah.
like insane.
It's
Like I
insane.
swear a lot. I won't swear here because I don't know if you swear in your community, but
I
like,
swear.
okay, great. So when I've been like chatting with BC owners, like doing discovery calls, I'm like, it's a fucking deal. Like, to get 6 months of this level of support for like 1750, I think it comes to. So that's why we're
Yeah.
coming to BC first, because we're just like, we just need all the BC group practice owners to know about this. Because also with the potential change of government that's coming up for you folks, we don't know how this grant might be administered in the future too, because I know in Ontario where I am, we can't find an equivalent of what
You
this grant
mean
is.
Doug Ford doesn't have a BC
You
employers or
know, Doug Ford has different ideas about what is important.
okay. Okay.
Thank you for calling out our premier. I'm good for you with your national politics. But yeah, so we're starting there because we want to just like meet amazing BC group practice owners, and we have this whole network of amazing folks in BC like you and Steph Davis, and Laura Bull and Stephanie Iverson and Lucinda Ball and like Rebecca Rosher. There's just like all these amazing BC group practice owners who we already know and love. So it means that we get to see
Yes.
folks in person and
Yeah,
also
there
like
really
serve
are.
other
There are
folks.
so many
There's,
there's a ton of great leaders and
yeah,
practice
truly.
owners. That's why I'm so looking forward to your event.
Yeah.
I'm like I've had these parasocial relationships for so
Yes.
long with these
Yeah.
practice owners. I cannot wait to like hang out with them in
It's,
person.
yeah. No, it's going to be awesome. I don't know what is in the water out there for you folks, but like the caliber of the BC group practice owners is like way high. So yeah, so
It is
we are
really
going to be
high.
we're going to be doing this like combination workshop and mingle because it's a chance for folks to actually meet each other too. Like, like folks like,
Yeah.
Shazia, like Alicia, you might know us from the internet or you might know each other from the internet. And then you actually get to like be in the room and just like shoot the shit and
It's
learn about
really
money.
cool. It's really cool. Last April, I had an in-person event for we opened our North Shore clinic and we had an in-person event. Alicia was there. Hi, Alicia. Um, and a bunch of other group
Hi.
practice owners came and it was actually really special. And it actually,
It is.
I don't know, I felt closer to them even
Yeah.
after the fact.
Yes.
Uh,
Because
So I will say I received that grant and it makes me think it was almost a year ago in September that I was at the retreat for group practice owners in Greece. And Rebecca, who was in your course at the time, was really talking up this money skills for group practice owners. And I was kind of like, yeah, no, it sounds great, but like I've listened to her podcast, so I know what's going on. Like
I got all I can get from her. Yeah.
I know everything there is to know now about money.
Uh-huh.
But then she told me about the grant, and I
Yeah.
love a bargain. And it was like in the middle of a strike too. There was like some sort of strike
Oh
that
yeah,
meant
I
that
remember
like I
that.
applied for the grant, and it took like a month for them to get back to me. No, but
Yeah.
now the people who are applying for that same grant for money skills for group practice owners are finding out like it seems
So
days
fast.
later, like
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
fast.
Like what I'm telling folks who are applying for the grant, and we'll talk about the grant at the event too. Like we're right now as we speak, Clinton, who is a good friend of mine, slash our like new logistics guy. Yeah,
Mhm.
link for the grant, Alicia. We can send that to you, Alicia. We have you in our
We'll
email.
send it. Yeah.
But it's do you remember what it's called, Elana? The BC Works.
BC employers grant.
There you go, BC
I'm gonna
Employers
add
Grant.
it here.
Yeah, do that. Please add it because yeah, like somebody that I chatted with in BC 2 weeks ago, like it seemed like it took her like 10 days to get it.
Yeah.
But what I've been telling folks is it's fast if it works, but if you're thinking about getting the grant to cover the course, which like apply for the grant first and then buy the course, like for us it's like That's great because then you know that, it's only going to be $1,800. You can budget for that. If there's a delay, if the BC grant denies you, the appeals process is long. So we're just telling
Yeah.
folks like just apply now to get it done. So you have
Yeah.
it and you're like, great, it's good. We're covered. The course starts October, first week of October. Because worst case scenario, then if you do have to appeal, you'll still be able to join this cohort that's starting in the fall.
Yeah. Yeah. I I think it definitely helped me. I mean, now that I've done the course, it's worth even the
Yes.
non-grant price.
Even the non-grant price. Yes.
Well, worth it in the sense I always think now because I've done your course, I think about ROI. Like, did I did it save me $8,000? Like, yes, I've saved more than $8,000 by doing
Yes.
this course. I didn't spend $8,000 on it because of the grant, but
Yeah.
even if I had, I would have been happy that I did.
Yeah. You would have recouped. And I think this is something that group practice owners like, there's this phrase in accidental group practice owners, which we were talking about
Mm,
earlier. Like most
mm,
folks don't necessarily like start group practice being like, I'm going to start a group practice and it's going to be a significant business and I'm building out structures. Many group practice owners get into it by accident. And then I think sometimes it takes a long time to catch up to the fact that like, no, you've built like a real business. Like your business
yeah,
is sizable. Like you have tens of thousands of dollars that are coming through your business every month. And so
yeah.
I find sometimes group practice owners oscillate around making investments because they're kind of like they haven't caught up to themselves yet and realize like no, what
Hmm.
you're running now is a big business and
Hmm.
you need to like build significant skills and that is going to involve some investments, but the machine you've built, making small tweaks, you can improve how the money's working by hundreds thousands of dollars like a month once you
Hmm.
understand the numbers. So like that's the power of
Hmm.
the group practice machine is it is a scaled business. You
Yeah,
make a small tweak here, 20 of your therapists start doing something slightly different and you immediately have like a 20 times result every time somebody sees a client, right?
yeah. It's like
So it's
Atomic Habits, but for
it
money.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It is. So yeah, sometimes group practice owners haven't quite caught up to the fact that like no, you have a real business.
You're a business.
Oh,
It's like,
for
don't
real.
even call it a practice. It's a
Yeah, yeah.
business. Yeah.
Yes.
This was so great. I know there's a couple of people, like actual humans on this call. Thank
There
you for
are
your
human.
patience,
Yeah.
everyone, with well, it was Meta's fault, so I'm not going to apologize, but
No, don't. Never apologize for meta.
feel free. Lindsay, are you cool to answer a couple
Yeah.
questions? If
Yeah. If
anybody, does
anybody
anybody
has
have
questions.
anybody, you've got like a celebrity on the call, like who's willing to have her brain picked? So I'm not
It's true.
talking about myself, by the way.
I thought you were talking about you.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Um, Alicia, I know you're
Um,
joining us at the event. Do you have any questions? Well, we have this chance to chat before we see each other next
Hi.
month. Hi.
I was like, do I go on this call? I don't know, like
Yeah.
live. I'm like, I'm at my cabin. Hi, Elana. Yes, I'm joining you soon. So I'll be meeting you in person. But I actually was just sitting here and saw this pop up on my Facebook notification. I had no idea about this call. So I joined very on a whim as I'm just at my cabin. So I haven't really thought about any questions. But whenever I see Alana doing something, I obviously come because I love her to death. But
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Lindsay, I'm just meeting you now. Hello. So questions, is it about money and just like practice owner and money and stuff?
Yeah, it's like so group practice. I mean, I
Oh,
teach about money for therapists and also money for group practice owners, which is what we were chatting about. Like that BC grant covers this group
yeah,
practice
yeah. I'll
owner.
definitely do the grant.
Yes, do the grant.
And I already have my eye on your October thing. It's already been in motion to like get that going. So I hope to do that. But yeah, I guess I'm actually curious. What do you think about profit first for therapists?
Mhm, mhm. I love it.
Yeah.
So it's not for everybody, of
Yeah.
course. Like the way that I think about money is you need to set up systems that work for your brain. But in both of my programs, so in my Money Skills for Therapists, which is for solo practitioners, and in the group practice course, I
Mhm.
teach profit first because a couple of reasons. One I find is it's just so clarifying for folks to actually see the money separated out. Like a
Okay.
lot of group practice owners and solo practice practitioners at that have like a fogginess around money where you're like, there's money, but like I don't know exactly what it's for, but there's money, so I feel rich. So I like buy this thing, and then later I'm like, oh shit, I owe taxes and I don't have it.
Yeah.
Profit First like eliminates that problem like literally forever by just
Yeah.
having the clear buckets of like, this is my tax payment. This is how much I have to like invest back in the business. This is my payroll amount. So the clarity is huge. But I also find, Alicia, a lot of folks that I work with have ADHD. I work with lots of women who have been diagnosed with ADHD in their like 30s, 40s, 50s, like kind of that missed generation, right? Those
Yeah.
of us who were not identified in the 80s and 90s. And Profit First is so clear. Like once you get the flow of it, it's like we figure out what your numbers need to be, big picture. You just put in what's in your account. It tells you exactly what to do. You do it, it's done. And it
Yeah.
removes that like getting stuck in the weeds, kind of like the overwhelm of the details that for some
Great.
folks can be paralyzing.
Yeah, I'm happy to. I guess that was my one thought.
Yeah.
Basically, that was the one question for me to determine, like, if we would be a good fit for me to
Yeah.
join the course, because that's actually how my brain operates. I've read all the Profit First like years ago, and when I
Yeah.
was reading through it, I was like, oh, wait, I already do most of this, and like this is like
Good for
just
you.
what I thought of. So
Yeah.
I'm glad but I was curious about if like someone like yourself who's, very well versed in this, if it's something that
Mm-hmm.
you align with. So I'm
Oh yeah.
happy to hear that.
Yeah. Like
Um,
I've had Mike McCallowitz on my podcast before, which was a real like fangirl moment for me. The author of Profit First. I'm like, oh, Mike.
And you've had
Um,
oh
Julie Harris
and
before
I've
as
had Julie
well,
Harris. I was
right?
going to say, so
Yeah.
Julie Harris wrote Profit First for Therapists. Have you seen that book, Alicia?
yep.
Yeah. So
That's the
she
one
also
I have. I
Okay,
own.
okay, you read that one. Okay. So she also comes into Money Skills for Practice Owners once a cohort. I have her come in and do like a call where she answers questions about profit therapy. She's one of my business buddies. I love Julie.
What?
So I also just like bring
Amazing.
her in because she's an accountant, right? She's an American accountant. So she can't always speak to our specifics of our Canadian situation, but just she has the brain of an accountant. Like sometimes she talks accountant and I'm like, Julie, when you say delta, could you give us another word for that means? She's like, oh, the difference. I'm like, okay, thank you.
Oh
So
my God. That's
yeah.
funny.
So I pull her in and in the course, we actually make reference to Profit First for Therapists because it's like she's come up with such beautiful clarity around like as from small business, medium business, large, that I'm not going to like reinvent the wheel or pretend it's my ideas. I'm just like, this is what Julie Harris suggests. So
Amazing.
yeah, the Profit First, it's like, this much of kind of like the content, but it's
Yeah.
like the budgeting tool that I recommend most strongly for group practices.
And also,
Amazing.
I would say we got into it, like the
Oh yeah.
Profit
Oh
First,
yeah,
like
yeah.
in the course. I mean, I
Yes.
wasn't using Profit First. I sort of like, I was like, but I am in my brain
Right.
using Profit First.
In my heart, I'm viewing
Oh,
Profit
Lindsay
First.
was
Alana,
like, that
you're
doesn't
gonna
count.
you're gonna love this. Guess what I do now? I have a project in Claude for financial accounting, and then I have Profit First in there as like a standard thing. And so I basically use Claude to do Profit First through, and then I put in all my financial for my bookkeeper and get it to like fill out all the charts from Profit First.
I do
Brilliant.
love that. Oh,
I know.
wow. That's
Fun.
next level.
I
That is
know.
next level.
You
Um,
just combined Alana and I's like top
yeah,
interests together.
like eating out of your hand. Um, but I mean, all this to say, I was kind of intimidated by what it would take to use Profit First, like
Yeah.
in the technical sense, like the transferring to different, like even the idea of going to my bank and setting up different
Hmm.
accounts to my ADHD brain, that was just like, oh God, I have to phone my bank. Oh my God. Anyway, but I did it. And now, like, it actually gives me such relief when I see these, like, five or six, or I think five bank accounts, like, stacked
Mhm.
up. And I actually get, like, a bit of a dopamine hit doing the
Oh, I always do.
transfers.
I always do.
Yeah.
I love my organization of payday. Like, I
Yeah.
love it. And guess what? I love tax time. People are like, oh my God, tax time. I'm like, yes, yes. Because
I
I
know.
always oversave. I get bonuses every time. If tax time is like money, tax time is Christmas.
Totally. Yeah.
Buffers. Yeah. So,
Buffers, those
So
yeah,
good.
buffers.
buffers.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Well,
I'll let someone else ask a question, but I could ask another, but Alana knows I like talking. Sue me. But
um,
if there's any other questions, I'll.
any other questions? No pressure. You can also pop it
Yeah.
in the chat, which I'm monitoring. Yeah, I am trying to think if there's anything else that I have for you, Lindsay. I
Mm.
mean, I'm
Okay.
so what can we expect from this thing on this little party you're throwing for us on August 15th?
On the 15th.
Yeah.
Well, we just finalized catering. Thank you so much for asking.
There's
So we're
food.
gonna have like, yeah, oh yeah, there's food. There's food. There's gonna be little bites. Clinton is planning the logistics and he's a foodie. So he was like, I asked for quality over quantity bites. So we want to make it like feel like welcoming, warm, give you a chance to chat with people. I also like, I love it when you meet somebody who you're like kind of like, oh, they're kind of my competitor, and then you're like, oh, they're actually so awesome. You actually kind of like realize that we're all in the same boat doing this
Yeah.
thing, from the same place of values. So there's going to be a chance to mingle. Then there's going to be a workshop that's going to be very experiential. So we're making a workbook. So, I'll be teaching, but also lots of space for you to actually reflect on the different questions, think about what these things mean to you. What does this look like in your practice? And we're going to be talking about this piece we were talking about at the beginning, Elana, of like balancing emotions and values your emotions and values on one hand and your actual numbers to make grounded financial decisions in your practice,
Mhm.
right? And getting real clarity on both like what are your values, where do you lead from, but also like what emotions are you vulnerable to as a leader? Like what are the situations where it's like you got to be able to push the pause button and be like, I will come back to you in 2 weeks, because otherwise you're just going to like give away, your firstborn child. So we're going to be doing those deep dives and chance to just like chat with your neighbor next to you. Then we're gonna have a panel discussion of like how folks actually practice these things, featuring the amazing Elana Suris, and also Stephanie Iverson, who's coming down from Penticton, is it? Yeah, my BC.
Summerland or Penticton.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
just
She's
Okanagan
gonna get
Valley.
mad at
I
us.
can tell you
Okanagan.
that. Yeah,
South
yeah. She's
Okanagan.
driving
Yeah.
4 hours from Okanagan to come be with
Yeah.
us. And so is Lucinda, her business partner. Steph is going to be on the panel. And then also Steph Davis, who's hosting us.
Yeah.
Shazia, it was so nice to see you here. I hope you can join us live, Shazia, in BC if you're in the zone. I don't know where you're located, but I know you're
She's in
in our
BC.
world.
She's
Yeah,
in
thank you so
BC. Yeah.
much. Thank
There you
you.
go. Yes. All
Thank
right. It was great
you.
you could be here. Yeah, so we're gonna have
Um,
that panel to actually like have
yeah.
you folks talk about like what does this actually look like for you in practice. Um,
It's so funny when you say like the emotional and values and I I think my therapist got some extra business because I was doing Lindsay's course and like my money stories were giving me some good material to work through in therapy.
Yep. Yep.
So that's a
Lots of
side
fodder for
effect,
therapy.
a good side effect of Lindsay's of being in Lindsay's world
Well,
is that
yeah.
you've got some material.
I've always said too that like starting a business is basically like doing intensive therapy, because every like insecurity that you have, like area where you tell
Yes.
yourself you're not good at XYZ is going to like come up in the course of your business.
Yeah.
If not when you first start, then when you get slightly bigger, or when you make your first hire, or when you have to fire something, like, oh my God, you get all of it. So I think that business is already huge fodder for therapy, and the course just gives you more.
Yeah. Well, this has been great. Thank you for bearing with me through the tech challenges and calming my frazzled nervous system down. I feel like $1 million now, so
Mhm,
thanks.
mhm. You're welcome. You're
Great to
welcome.
see you. Thank you for showing up, Alicia. I love that you just like popped on. That's awesome.
I had no idea. Yeah.
And you have a ride. You have a ride to this event. Don't
I'm
forget.
like just
Anybody who's watching,
I'm gonna
hit me up
say
for a ride. Yeah.
Alana's giving rides. Get a ride with
Yeah.
Alana.
Join the
that
Elana
sounds
Mobile.
so fun. Honestly,
Yes.
like a little carpool with therapists.
Make
Count.
us a playlist.
Yes.
Oh, you know me? You don't know me
Yeah,
in that way. I
I
am the
know me.
DJ.
So
And we are also, Alana, I should say we're having dinner afterwards at Saba, which is like
oh,
this really nice
fun.
bistro that Steph Davis. So also plan to stay for dinner. It's gonna be my treat, just so you know. So make sure that you plan your carpool. You guys are gonna go back later after dinner.
Okay.
I'm in. I'm in. I won't drink. Don't worry. I'll be good for the car ride home. I'm a lightweight,
Saba.
so
Good.
Saba
Yes.
in Fort Langley.
Fort Langley. Yeah.
Nice. Oh, that sounds
Yes.
so fun.
I don't
Yeah.
think I've ever been to Fort Langley. I can't wait.
Is there an
Oh,
actual
it's
fort
so
there?
cute.
This is a question I have for real.
Oh
Is there
wait,
an
I've
actual
been there.
fort? Yeah.
Is there a
Wait.
fort?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I
I
don't
should know,
know.
but I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
Like a fort meaning like a tower, like one
Like
of
a
those.
historical fort.
Yeah, I don't know, but I
Okay.
do remember I went there a few years ago. There's a pumpkin patch there, and like when I was living my like basic bitch life in my 20s, I went with my friends and we went to the pumpkin patch and it was a very, very cute little town.
Yes,
Like
this is what I'm
It's
told.
super cute. Yeah.
Yes.
it's
Like
yeah,
yeah, the Steph Davis has told me it's like the little village from Gilmore Girls, which I never watched, but I understand the vibe. It's very cute. So I think
it's
it's going to
actually a
be
really
lovely.
great, like, yeah, if you're gonna go out in that direction, I would say that that's like a beautiful place to go. And there's like little shops, and if it's a nice, day, it's
There you
beautiful.
go. Come
Yeah.
early, go
Amazing.
shopping.
Can't
And then the event
wait.
is going to be from 2 to 6 and then dinner after 6.
Oh, I'm
Okay.
excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Right.
Gonna
Thank
paint
you,
the
Elena.
town
And
red.
can I send you the link, Elena, for folks to register for the event so they can join us?
Yes, please do.
Okay, I will. All
I can also
right.
Yes.
send it over to all of my practice friends.
That'd be
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
know a
That would be
lot.
great.
I feel like I'm starting to
Yeah.
get pretty well connected in the group practice world now. It's like starting. Well,
Great.
Yeah. Well,
Bring everybody.
Alicia
Make it a party.
just so you know, Lindsay, Alicia is an actual influencer, like actual,
no.
like she has like she has multiple thousand followers on Instagram.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
still
Yeah,
in
but
the
I'm
triple digits.
But you know what? Thank you. I appreciate this. And it's funny you say that because I did this all like years ago and then haven't posted
Yeah.
anything in like
Yes.
3 years. And so I'm actually at my cabin right now trying to figure out my relaunching social media plan. That's
Hey,
what I
nice.
was doing as I saw Alana's live on
There you
Facebook.
go.
And then I was
There you
like,
go.
wait, gotta
All
go on
right. So people watching, also check out Alicia on Instagram. Alicia, what's your handle?
that. Oh, for work?
Pardon?
It's
Yeah,
what
for
is it? I
work.
think it's gather
Gather
dot
and
ground.
ground. Isn't it gather dog
Oh, yeah,
ground?
yeah.
Yeah, gather
Yeah.
dot ground.
Gather
Yeah.
dot ground. Okay. Wonderful.
Yeah,
Thanks,
super
Alana.
nice to meet
That
you.
was fun, guys. Happy Monday. I'm going to post this recording in the Facebook group and yeah, I will see you both on the 15th.
See you then.
Take
Very
All
good.
care.
right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.